tankers, cooBLIMEY here with part 2 of our special, A Day in the Life. This is battles 4 through 7 of the best games I had in the last 24 hours or so. And here we'll start. I've been up on that hill spotting and not really seeing anything for a while, and that tells me that there's really no enemy tanks in the center of the map. So I'll just fast forward through that and get to the good parts here. Now this TD here, if I remember, he was by far the best player on the enemy team. He was blue or purple. So I always like to go right at the best guy on the other team and remove him from the game as soon as possible, if at all possible. And even if he manages to kill me, I don't mind, because the best players are always in the best tanks. And I'm usually in one of the worst tanks, so I don't mind taking half the life off of an enemy purple player, even if it means my own death, because a purple player can do just so much damage. So it's best to, if you can take half the life off them, all of a sudden they have to play a lot more cautiously and a lot more conservatively. So if you can do a ton of damage to a purple player right at the beginning, he's not going to be playing purple for the rest of the game. He's going to be playing like a little bitch. And they usually are to begin with. Anyway, you always find the purple players either with a platoon of 2 other purple players all in top tier tanks, or you find them hiding in the back. So I like to kill them as soon as possible, and now here we are in a great position with flanking fire on tanks with horrible reloads. So the KV-2 wasn't too much work, and now this guy has a choice. Who does he want to shoot at? Does he want to shoot at the guys in front of him, or does he want to shoot at me? And for once, they choose to shoot the guys in front of him. Oh no, here he comes, turning his turret towards me, but it's too late. And perfect timing too, as now we have 30 seconds to reload, but we have at least 30 seconds worth of distance we need to travel to get anywhere close to the enemy. And you want to time, if at all possible, with a tank like the Walker Bulldog, where you do have this horrific reload time, you want to time it whenever possible so that, like what I'm doing here, that you're reloading when you're in no danger and you're moving or relocating. And as fate would have it, we reload just as the first enemy tank comes into view. And now this game is all long since over, and it's just hunting down the last few remaining tanks. And as always seems to happen, as soon as I spot them and get the reticle on them, they turn around a corner and then disappear. And luckily he missed a shot. Artie almost never seems to miss me, so I must be having luck today. And that was 16,000 win 8, scout and high caliber, which is a rather odd combination. You usually get one or the other, not both at the same time. Now here we are on the same side of the same map, which is shocking. Wargame would never put you on the same side of the same map, would they? And I fast forward it through all the passive scouting, because again, no one wants to see you sitting in a bush for 2 minutes. And this location is actually surprisingly safe, because everyone's so afraid of the center of the map that you can often sit here and shoot without anyone seeing you, because the closest enemy tanks are up on the opposite ridge, and unless they have binoculars up or are like a tier 10 medium, they aren't going to see that far. And of course, I fired at the wrong time, and I did get spotted, so now we try and stay in the gully here so that not much of our tank is exposed to fire. And luckily, the fact that I didn't take a lot of fire there tells me that there's not really too many enemy tanks up on the opposite ridge, and of course our scout up there tells us that as well. So we know it's fairly safe to sit down here in the bowl. And you'll notice I was more than 15 meters away from that bush, so I managed to shoot through it without the Death Star seeing me. And that also tells me that there's no one on the ridge to the north of me, or else I would have been spotted. So now I can just sit here and shoot at this guy, but of course he went invisible and I had to expose myself to light him, which exposed me. But luckily he didn't get a shot off, and we know we're safe here behind this hill. Now I'm thinking, time to go after this T-57. He's in a firefight here, so he's probably reloading.
Ready to fire.
But I'm not sure if he's reloading or not. We know he just took a shot there, so I figure he probably is, but just in case he isn't, let's try and ram him and kill him. Because my reload and his are surprisingly similar. So now I'm in trouble. The ram didn't kill him, and my friends aren't killing him. But luckily, my first shot must have killed his ammo rack or his loader, because I managed to reload first, and luckily we killed him probably seconds before he would have killed us. And now this wasn't nearly as good a game as some of the others in this series, but it's a lot of fun for this sequence here, because we just killed a tier 10 heavy, and now, oh dear, a Death Star, but he must be reloading, because he's running like a little bitch, and we wait till we get a good shot at him just as he goes over the hill and kill him. Coward. And what do we find? Yet another tier 10, and this one extremely well armored, but luckily we're coming up behind him. And with 3 shots we killed 3 tier 10 tanks, all of them fairly heavily armored. Gotta love the T-49 when it shoots well. And now all we have to do is hunt down the final remaining light tank, and that's the game. And there he is. And he's running away, but unfortunately he's running right at us. And you do not want to run into a T-49 accidentally. Now we are on Ensk in the Walker Bulldog, which is my favorite tank, and I've been playing mostly the Walker Bulldog, and the T-49 because it's fun, but the T-49 isn't really a good tank. The Walker Bulldog is a great tank. And unfortunately it looks like our friends have left this entire side of the map relatively open. We don't have very much here, considering what the enemy has, and what you will see coming. So I'm trying to get into a bush, we'll get binoculars up, and we take shots at the medium tank, because, well, we can penetrate a medium tank, and there's probably not too much in this game we can penetrate easily. Now, even though I'm spotted here, again, I want to kill this guy and get his gun out of the game, and I don't mind if he gets one shot into me. But luckily, he must have been reloading or he wasn't aimed yet, and we managed to kill him without taking any damage. And now I'm pretty sure I'm invisible again, so I pull out into the bush, get binoculars up. Because again, we're looking fairly light in the field, so I want to stay relatively safe. And we'll try and keep bushes between us. And here's another tank that we actually won't have too much trouble penetrating. And we're pretty safe, and there's a bush more than 15 meters between us and him, so we can shoot through it without him spotting us. But we just gotta find somewhere to shoot. That missed. Oh, there he is, and he's giving us his engine deck. So we'll take a couple blind shots, just in case we hit something. And now that I'm reloading, I want to get into a bush. I do not want to get spotted while I'm reloading. Even though I was fairly sure I was safe there, I want to get more of myself covered by the bush during the 30-second reload. And surprisingly, my rather light team on this side made rather easy work of some pretty big tanks over here. And now we got a tier 10 TD to deal with. Now I was having trouble with my keyboard in this game, and a couple of the others, so if you're wondering why I'm doing a couple odd things here, it's because my tank isn't doing what I'm wanting it to do. And of course everything's bouncing there off him, of course. So we're pretty sure he's reloaded, so here we want to shoot his gun. We want to get his gun out, and we want to shoot his turret, because we can penetrate his turret really easily, because it has no armor. And we don't want him to shoot us, so in case he was reloaded, we wanted to take his gun out there, if at all possible. And again, just a couple tanks left. Unfortunately, I'm reloading here, so I just want to hide behind the carcass of his friend here. And that was the slowest ram ever, but it was enough. And now all we have left is a full health E100 in our base. And in the Walker Bulldog with silver ammo loaded, you'll bounce almost everything, even at a 90-degree angle into his side, you'll bounce most shots, and if you get around behind him, you'll still bounce a lot of shots. You'll want to aim for the back of the turret, or at like a 90-degree angle into the back of his tank, or a 90-degree angle into the direct side. And he's got a hell of a gun, so I just want to avoid his gun here. I'm not even bothering to shoot at his front, because I know everything will just automatically bounce. So we'll wait to get around behind him and aim at the back of his turret. And we got Norlix and a kamikaze for that, and I'm not sure what the win rate was. It had to have been pretty high. And now back in the Walker Bulldog on Swamp. Now I like to get around somewhere up around on one of the hills and get binoculars up as soon as possible, so you just catch any guys that are moving either into the city area, well, either of the two city areas in the north or the south, depending on which side you spawn at. Now here, even though I don't have the gun depression, it was more important for me to get binoculars up than to get my gun into position, so I waited until we spotted sign, and I had some shots before I moved down and got my gun into play. And we get a few shots into him, and we're spotted, and you do not want to sit on that ridge exposed and spotted. So we'll take that time to reload and hopefully go invisible here. It takes about 10 seconds for you to go invisible once you're no longer spotted by the enemy tanks, plus I believe there's a 25% plus or minus RNG on that, so it could be anywhere from 7.5 seconds to 12.5 seconds. And again, now that I'm invisible, I want to move back somewhere where I can spot tanks, and I'm relatively safe from enemy fire. But it doesn't look like there's very much to shoot at here, so we're going to have to decide on a plan of action. So we move forward and see if we can improve our shots on any of the enemy tanks in the north, but it doesn't look like it. We've got pretty good cover on all sides from all the trees, so we're pretty safe, although our team is looking not so good right now. So with no shots in the north, I decide I want to go down into the center. And we stay close to a rock here and see what we can spot. Now I'll usually bounce off the turret, but I can sometimes penetrate that weak spot, or again with a good roll you can sometimes go through the turret. And I know I'm pretty safe, and that's enough. And I've got enough shots in the autoloader to take speculative shots like that and just hope we get high rolls and get through the weak spots. And luckily we do. And get a kill. And now we're gonna again stay safe while we reload. So there are 8 enemy tanks left, but we know that probably only 1 or 2 of them are up on the hill there, and we don't know where everyone else is. So I've decided that guy looks like he's all alone. I might as well go around, circle around behind him and try and kill him. But my plans change yet again when these guys show up, and now I want to stay safe from the Roomba while I shoot at the side and back of the light tank. Now I was going to go around the rock, but I decide, I'll take a hit from the Roomba. And luckily, we didn't take a hit from the Roomba. And now, time to reload, so we again hide behind a rock and wait for ourselves to go invisible. And that's a good time to reposition and go after this guy that I got distracted from. So we should hopefully make it to the top of the hill just as we reload. And you probably don't want to knock a tree down and tell him where you are, but he didn't notice. And we kill him before he has a chance to turn around, and the Hellcat has a rather slow turret traverse, so you always want to get them turning their gun. And again, we'll take some time to reload as we reposition. And since I don't have a shot at him, I'm trying to stay safe until I'm loaded. And now notice I backed up there until the tree went opaque, so that I knew I was more than 15 meters away, so I knew I could shoot through it without this guy spotting me. If I hadn't backed up 5 feet there, he would have spotted me the first shot I took.